Good afternoon and welcome to Concerts at One here at Trinity Wall Street. Thank you for joining us for today's concert, both here and for those of you who are watching on our webcast. A little bit of housekeeping, if you could please turn off your cell phones or any noise-making devices, that would be very much appreciated. This Monday, for those of you who have off, we are continuing our Bach at One series on Memorial Day. A free concert at 1 o'clock p.m. Please join us if you're available. Today's Concert at One is the second in our Broadway series. They will be returning next week, so please come back at 1 p.m. next Thursday for the conclusion of our Broadway series here. Today you will hear an incredibly talented group of singers led by Rob Berman, who's the curator and director of the group. Please join me in a warm welcome for the early Broadway series.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Rob Berman. Thank you so much for coming out today to our concert. Today, as Melissa told you, today is the second of our 3 abridged concert presentations of musicals from the very early years of Broadway and musical theater. Today, we're going to be presenting songs from a very rarely heard musical by George Gershwin called Primrose. It's a show that a lot of theater enthusiasts don't even know much about, probably because it actually never played on Broadway in New York. It was written expressly for the London stage and played there. Just to give you a little bit of background about the show, there was a British producer named George Grossmith, and he was the founder of the Winter Garden Theatre in London. And in 1920, he began to hire American composers to come over to London and write shows to be produced in his theater. He hired people like Jerome Kern, and in 1924, he hired George Gershwin, who was at the time just 25 years old when he wrote this show. And he was already making a name for himself. In fact, 1924 was the same year he wrote Rhapsody in Blue. So just think about the fact that Gershwin was 25 years old when he wrote Rhapsody in Blue. It's hard to believe. But for this show that we're going to be doing today, Gershwin was teamed with the British lyricist Desmond Carter, although his brother Ira Gershwin was back in New York contributing some lyrics to some of these songs as well. The book writers were George Grossmith himself and the book writer Guy Bolton. Primrose opened in September 1924 in London and ran until April 1925. The show was considered a very solid success, proving very popular with audiences and critics. In the score you'll hear today, there's echoes of Jerome Kern, echoes of Gilbert and Sullivan, but I think you'll find it most certainly has a distinctive Gershwin sound to it. So I have this wonderfully talented group with me today. Let me introduce Michael Marcotte, Maggie Kanzler, Sarah Jean Ford, Weston Wells Olson, Timothy McDevitt. They're each going to play one primary role in the story, but they will also have to double up and play some other parts as well, and I'll explain that as we go. I'm going to give you a little bit of narration of the plot, which is very silly and farcical, so do your best to follow along. But it'll give you some context for how the songs fit into the story of the show. So, here we go. Our setting is a small English town called Little Ferry-on-Thames. Freddie Falls, played here by Michael, is a young sporting lad whose main interest is golf, and he has arrived to visit his uncle, Sir Barnaby Falls. Sir Barnaby has betrothed his ward Joan, who's played by Sarah, to Freddie, but it is a very reluctant engagement. Freddie and Joan can barely tolerate each other. And besides, Freddie is in love with May Rooker, the vicar's daughter, played here by Maggie. May also plays a great game of golf. So here, Freddie and May sing of their common interests.
I can't stand women who foozle. I must have a girl who can drive.
I choose a +4 or possibly 5.
Someone who's got every manner of shot.
Someone who's good on the green.
Oh, you seem to fit in the picture.
And you're just the type that I mean.
I've never met another little girl quite like you. One with your instinct for following through.
I've never met another little boy who would play Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, every day. I want a man to stand by me, one not afraid of a stymie.
Try me. I'll never meet another little girl who will do till I meet someone like you. I've found you almost perfection each time you've played tennis with me.
Your shots have strength and direction. Your footwork is all it should be.
You never make any sort of mistake.
You always know what to do.
Oh, I think you're simply amazing.
And you're rather wonderful too. I've never met another little boy quite like you. One with a backhand as powerful and true.
I've never met another little girl who would play Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, every day. One I could lead to success, dear. In the mixed doubles, I guess, dear.
Yes, dear.
I'll never meet another little girl who will do till I meet someone like you.
So next, we meet Joan, played by Sarah. Joan is naively caught up in her own romantic fantasies. In this next song, our three gentlemen will be playing the entire male chorus.
Oh, I suppose I shall marry Freddie someday. He's such a nice boy, and Daddy wants me to so much. But he isn't a bit like my dream lover. He's the man who is waiting for me. Somewhere. My dream lover would be close to me in his tastes and thoughts, and we'd be just like one person. His favorite sport would be just to be with me.
Any man who would appeal to me must appeal in every way. Like the man my dreams reveal to me, I can see him every day. Oh, it all seems very real to me, and I know what he would say. For he seems so near, my heart stops beating when I hear his voice repeating. Isn't it wonderful? Once there were two of us, now we're only one. The stormy weather has passed, and we're together at last. Before our meeting, we only existed
past, and we're together at last.
But while you're waiting and hoping to find him, with others you might have begun, why not a few of us, just one or two of us?
No, I only want one.
Next, we meet the celebrated novelist Hilary Vane, played here by Weston. Hilary lives in a houseboat on the river next to Joan's uncle, Sir Barnaby. He is writing a serialized novel called Primrose that is published every week in a magazine. And he sets up his writing desk outdoors.
Keep your cities and keep your towns, I want nothing but these. The moors, the river, the rolling hills, the woods, the whispering trees. Hill and meadow and scented hay, better than no one can. Leave the women to go their way, I'll have done with them for today. Oh, this is the place for a man. Oh, this is the place for a man. You who flock to a summer day, you know nothing of this. You stay your hour and go your way, for all its beauty you miss. Back again to your towns you run, but mine's a different plan. Give me only a rod and gun, and leave me here in the rain or sun. Oh, this is the place for a man. Oh, this is the place for a man. Keep your cities with all their pride, I want nothing of those. I'll give my heart to the countryside with every wind that blows. There was never a fairer thing since ever the world began. Love is folly when life can bring a pipe to smoke and a song to sing. Oh, this is the life for a man. Oh, this is the life for a man.
Okay, next we meet Hilary's wealthy and rather frivolous friend, Toby Mopham. Toby shows up surrounded by some young ladies. Here, Sarah and Maggie will now play the entire female chorus.
Girls, here's Toby. You're just in time for our picnic.
Thanks, but I can't stop to pick any nicks. I must get to London.
Oh, of course. What can all the ladies in London be doing without you?
Don't be catty, darling. A man can't help if he's popular. Though I'm anxious not to go,
You're not to go.
I've got to go, for London's in despair when I'm away. I've no time to spare, you know. Up there, you know, they need me every moment of the day. Hearts are palpitating, there's a tear in every eye. Everybody's waiting, there's no need to ask them why. People there are grieving so. I'm leaving so that I can save their hair from turning gray. Oh, London is a sorrowful place. You'll find a frown on every face when Toby is out of town. No one takes the trouble to eat, and twice a day the cabinet meet when Toby is out of town. Mayfair goes into mourning with the blinds all drawn down. Countesses continually weep, and duchesses are losing their sleep when Toby is out of town. people pass the time away.
The time away.
While I'm away by waiting for the train to bring me back. Even hens that used to lay refuse to lay, and Baldwin goes to lunch with Ramsay Mack. Town is topsy-turvy, there are riots at the Ritz. Henry Heath gets nervy and he tears his hat to bits. Eggs refuse to scramble now. They amble now, and all the bars in town are draped in black. Hostesses are breaking their hearts, and actresses forgetting their parts when Toby is out of town. Bus conductors sit on the stairs and quite forget to take any fares when Toby is out of town. Tube trains have ceased to function and the lifts won't go down. Work is left on every hand, they quite forget to dig up the Strand when Toby is out of town. Two trains have ceased to function and the lifts won't go down. Work is left on every hand, they quite forget to dig up the Strand when Toby is out of town.
Toby has come to see his friend Hillary, seeking help. It turns out Toby recently met a pretty flapper named Pinky Peach, and after too many drinks, he proposed marriage to her. Toby's imperious mother, Lady Sophia, was not amused, and now Toby needs to break off the engagement, and he wants Hillary's help, which Hillary agrees to. Next, Hillary encounters Joan, who is an avid reader of his serial novel, Primrose. Joan foolishly thinks that her life has many similarities to Hillary's latest heroine, Miss Primrose, and she is basing her actions on the novel. She is desperate to learn from Hillary what will happen in the next installment. Will Miss Primrose have to marry her cousin, or will she find a new man?
You mean Miss Primrose won't have to marry her cousin after all?
I'll soon get her out of that. I'll think of some way out.
How wonderful! And the other man? How will you put him in?
That kind of man is always waiting nearby.
And he'll be the man that I mean, Miss Primrose has always dreamed about. Prince Charming.
Exactly. And he'll be a romantic dreamer, too.
Oh, how beautiful. That'll be a wonderful ending to my story.
It is never too late for man to mend, and though at times, no doubt, we pick the wrong ones out, to discover the right one I intend. She may be far away, she may turn up today, but I've made up my mind to find her in the end. There's some sweet faraway someone who'll soon be nearer to me, and when we meet I'll show my new love what true love can be. I'll lose my heart to no other, the one I'm waiting to see is that sweet faraway someone who will soon be nearer to me.
That's a dangerous thing for you to say. To find her you may try, and yet may pass her by. You've known dozens of girls before today, and why should you suppose she wasn't one of those? You may have met her and have let her go away.
will soon be nearer to me. And when we meet, I'll show my new love what true love can be. I always flirt with each new one to make quite certain that she is not that far away, someone who will soon be near to.
Soon be dearer to.
Soon be dearer to me.
So next we meet Pinky Peach, played by Meggie. Here she is. She arrives looking for Toby. Pinky is the woman that Toby drunkenly proposed to. She also is a beautician, professionally known as Madame Frazeline. Pinky arrives with her brother Michael, played here by Michael. They find Toby, and she is very eager to marry him and join the aristocracy.
You know that I'm descended from a line that's simply splendid. We're the finest lot of men you've ever met.
And in August or September, I expect to be a member and to take my place among them in Debret.
Even I shall be affected by the glory that's reflected, and perhaps into a moppum I shall turn.
If like us you want to be, dear, you must keep your eye on me, dear, and in time to come you'll learn that a moppum is always a moppum.
And I'm to be a moppum too.
In danger, there's nothing can stop 'em.
We date from the flood and our blood is blue.
It sounds unhealthy.
Our courage and tenacity, our valor and audacity in history are noted everywhere. When there was trouble brewing or any brewing doing, you'd always find a moppum there. It must be our ambition to support the old tradition as defenders of the weak and the oppressed.
I must learn to sound the klaxon like a good old Anglo-Saxon, and I'll wear the family motto on my vest.
When I model my behavior on the ladies of the graveyard, I shall really be a thing to wonder at.
We are old and very fruity, and we're noted for our beauty. I need hardly tell you that, for a moppum is always a moppum.
And I'm to be a moppum too.
In danger, there's nothing can stop 'em.
We fought and we suffered at Waterloo.
The departure platform.
I hardly need to touch on our immaculate escutcheon. As a family, we're noted everywhere. Look on the roll of heroes, look on the floor at zeros. You'll always find a moppum there.
So Hillary has agreed to help Toby, and he has lunch with Pinky. Hillary tells Pinky that Toby is nothing but a silly man and who will never marry her. Upset, she claims Hillary just wants her for himself, and she faints in his arms. As carefully planned, Toby enters just in time to see Pinky in Hillary's arms, and at last, he has the perfect excuse to break off the engagement. Unfortunately, Joan also witnesses this and is heartbroken over Hillary's supposed love for Pinky.
So this is where I find you, my fiancé. The sunshine of my future days, the comfort of my declining years, in the arms of another man.
Look here.
Don't attempt to explain, sir. Enough that I don't strike you. Enough that I even let you live the man I trusted.
Toby!
Mr. Mopham, if you please. A Mopham is always a Mopham.
I want to be a Mopham too.
When people deceive us, we drop 'em.
You don't understand.
I'm afraid I do. Thank heaven I have caught you. All those pearls I haven't bought you will be useful in some love affair.
Oh, no.
You may get him to falter beside you at the altar, but you'll never get a Mopham there.
Toby!
Too late, the engagement is off. Thank heaven I found you out in time.
I can explain this perfectly, Miss Falls.
I'm sorry, I also have a business appointment. I am to meet Freddie for a walk along the river.
A man once said it is better luck to fall in love than to be kicked in the face by a mule. He was an optimist. Happiness thrown away, love has all flown away. Now I'm only one.
So that's where Act 1 ends. Act 2 is set in and about the terrace of the Hotel Splendide in a French Riviera town. It is the 14th of July, and the wedding of Freddie and Joan is set for the next day. Since they don't really love each other, they agree that their marriage will not be a traditional one, but rather a modern, up-to-date one.
We're going to live in two entirely separate houses.
Are we? Well, that's a splendid idea. We'll just drop in on one another like the best of chums.
Oh, remember, Freddie, you must always wear an identification tag so the servants will remember to let you in.
Good idea. Good idea. And Joan, think what fun it'll be when you introduce me to our children.
Life with you would bore me or become too stormy. You'll agree, I think, that we had better live apart.
Though your views might rather shock your poor dear father, it's a plan a modern man would jump at from the start.
Judging by the others, I should say this sort of marriage would meet with more success.
Leave me your address.
I'll have a house in Berkeley Square.
I'll take a cottage at Kew.
Now and then I may invite you there.
I will do the same for you. And I dare say, sometimes I may, just for a day or two, stay at your house in Berkeley Square.
Then I'll have the cottage at Kew.
We'll avoid each other's sentiment. We'll smother, write me though, and let me know if you should go away.
If by chance I meet you at a dance, I'll greet you and I'll ring you up, old thing, and pass the time of day.
Now and then with other men, I dare say I shall see you.
You wouldn't make a scene.
Not at all, old bean. You'll have your house in Berkeley Square.
You'll have your cottage at Kew.
What you do will be your own affair.
I shan't interfere with you. I'll be content if you consent.
But when the rent is due, Square.
Yes, and for the cottage at Kew.
The hotel is sponsoring a series of beauty makeovers by the celebrated Madame Frazeline, aka Pinky. Thanks to her business savvy and marketing skills, she has become quite successful. And now that she's single, she knows the importance of advertising in both her career and romantic life.
I've just finished writing an advertisement calling for a boy. No half-hearted Romeo or flirt is meant. That's a kind I won't employ. Though anybody interested can apply, he must know a thing or two to qualify. For instance, to have a ghost of a chance, he must be able to dance. The sort of boy wanted must have a smile. Boy wanted lovable style. He must be tender and true. And if he knows what to do, I think I'll learn to love him very soon. I'll want him morning, night, and afternoon. So if you know of one who's wanting employment, just tell him that I'm wanting a boy to be the boy of my choice. He's got to own a Rolls Royce. He must be quite reckless, buying me things, pearl necklace, diamond rings. He must be ready to pay a dozen bills every day. I'd simply smother him with tender care if I could only find a millionaire. So if you see one dining at the Savoy, then just tell them that I'm wanting a boy. I won't have anyone small. He must be handsome and tall. I said a boy wanted beautifully dressed. Boy wanted trousers well pressed. He must have wonderful eyes. He must wear wonderful ties. I want a boy who'll always look as though he's only just stepped out of Savile Row. So if some Paris wants a Helen of Troy, then just tell him that I'm wanting a boy.
Toby has also shown up. I skipped a page. Never mind. Joan encounters Hillary at the hotel, and she asks him how his Primrose story is going.
I did rewrite that last installment, and the story ends quite differently.
Well, how did you end my story? I mean, Primrose's story.
There was a man who lived just next door to her, a man she talked to only briefly, and they fell in love with each other.
What about her fiancé?
I married him off to Susie.
Oh, but that's the girl who's been waiting for him for so long.
Yes, that's the point. Susie finds that waiting pays.
I suppose I could learn something from Susie. I'm not very good at waiting for what I want.
Neither am I. Susie wasn't mad about a dozen men or so. She was only sad about just one 'cause he was slow. Susie said to her mother, he's in love with some other. But her mother said, my dear, don't lose your little head, my dear. Those tears you needn't shed, my dear, I know. Wait a bit, Susie, wait a bit, Susie. There is someone who some fine day will come and say he loves you. Someone who's lonely, someone who only wonders what to do. Watching, waiting, hesitating too. He doesn't say much when you're there, but he's a bit shy. Doesn't know yet if he dare, but he's going to try. Wait a bit, Susie, wait a bit, Susie. If you only knew, someone set his heart on getting you.
Though she didn't care about the other men she met, she was in despair about the one she couldn't get. Wished that something would wake him, felt she wanted to shake him. Life looked very grey to her, each hour was like a day to her. But something seemed to say to her, don't fret. Wait a bit, Susie, wait a bit, Susie. There is someone who some fine day will come and say he loves you.
Someone who's lonely, someone who only wonders what to do.
Watching, waiting, hesitating too. He
Doesn't say much when you're there, but he's a bit shy. Doesn't know yet if he dare, but he's going to try. Wait a bit, Susie, wait a bit, Susie. If you only knew, someone set his heart on getting you.
Okay, now here comes Toby. He's also shown up with his mother, Lady Sophia. Hillary recruits Toby to pose as a professional mind reader, Professor Shadolevsky, to tell Joan's uncle, Sir Barnaby, that her wedding to Freddie will end in disaster. Freddie is in on the plan as well.
But what do I do? I don't know anything about spiritualism.
Simple. You just talk to the spirits who have passed on. You know, like Henry VIII, Shakespeare. Oh, and Mary, Queen of Scots.
Ah, Mary, Queen of Scots. Now there was a nice woman. Mary Stuart was a queen in 1583. No doubt you've heard of her demise in English history.
I know, poor dear, she lost her head. Oh, what a terrible life she led.
The poor little thing was better off dead, unbarred and shingle-free. Oh, isn't it horrible what they did to Mary, Queen of Scots? Her scaffold was surrounded by lots of Huguenots.
They say her little copybook was full of smears and blots.
Now why do you take on this way?
I only heard of her death today.
Poor unassuming, undernourished Mary, Queen of Scots. English history's full of tales of suffering and pain. There's poor Canute who burned the cakes and never smiled again.
And think of William Cooper, who died in the Battle of Waterloo.
And think of what Cromwell had to go through when he went to war with Spain. But
But isn't it pitiful what they did to Mary, Queen of Scots? And though in English history we have discovered lots of most unpleasant tragedies and incidents and plots,
You can't think how upset we felt when we were told of the way they dealt
with harmless, homeless, hopeless, helpless Mary, Queen of Scots. People say the modern woman either drinks or dopes,
and reads the books on birth control by Dr. Mary Soaps.
an awful phase she's going through.
She'll dance the bullfrog up till 2.
It's all very doubtful if it were true.
But at any rate, one hopes
She'll never be dealt with like they dealt with Mary, Queen of Scots. For her, the tangled skein of life was just a mass of knots.
Some people say she had no fun, but others say she'd lots.
But that's a thing we won't discuss. Pause for a while and weep with us for tender, slender, feminine gender, Mary, Queen of Scots. We just met a friend of ours who seemed in great distress.
He said his wife had ruined him by what she'd spent on dress.
It's pounds and pounds she's pumped him for.
Now she's eloped with the man next door.
Tonight I shall jump in the river, he swore.
But we merely answered yes!
But isn't it positively cataclysmic what they did to Mary, Queen of Scots?
And though of her emulsion I have taken lots and lots,
Her oyster bar, I own, is one of London's brightest spots.
I bow my head and doff my lid whenever I think of what they did
To airy, fairy, Hanover, swearing Mary, Queen of Scots. Oh, wasn't it dreadfully uncalled for what they did to Dairy Cream in clots?
What?
You know what I mean. Her soul was even whiter than the whitest Wyandottes.
When playing at St. Andrews, she would not replace divots.
So after quite a bothering day, they locked her up in Fotheringay. For Fotheringay is a place to stay with Mary, Queen of Scots.
So, Madame Frazeline, also known as Pinky, has given our modest Joan a complete makeover into a modern girl. Sir Barnaby is not amused at his ward's new appearance, but the men are very happy to see her. Here again in this next song, our gentlemen will be playing the entire male chorus.
Oh, that Jane Austen stuff is quite out of date. If you want to attract a man like Hilary Vane, you must be modern. Smoke cigarettes and swear a bit.
Oh, dear, must I really do that?
You'll find it quite easy. I can make you up into a real vamp. The naughty baby type.
If you want a girl who's sentimental, one who'll never set you in a whirl, one who will be always sweet and gentle, I am not that sort of girl. But if you prefer a rather swift one, if you think you'd like to run around with a bright one, I am just the right one. Naughty baby, who will tease you? I can show the way and know the way to please you. If you're wanting a beginner, I shan't do. I can make a saint a sinner when I want to. If you find the simple kind a rather slow, dear, then you ought to try a naughty one, you know, dear. But you'll never meet another who will be a naughty baby, just like me. I with every fellow that she knew. Just the sort your mother would object to if she saw me out with you. But I always do the things I want to. Everyone will tell you that I show too much stocking. I am simply shocking.
Naughty baby, we adore you. Say you stay and let us lay our hearts before you. We're not wanting a beginner, you'll just do. Let us take you out to dinner, we should love to. We're depressed because the rest are rather slow, dear. You're not shy and that is why we love to sew, dear. Every one of us is longing to pursue a naughty baby, just like you.
Naughty baby, who will tease you? I can show the way, I know the way to please you. If you're wanting a beginner, I should do. I can't make a saint a sinner when I want to.
Can't you see the
If you find the simple
glad
kind rather slow, dear, then you ought to try and not to when you know, dear. But you'll never meet another who'll defeat
a naughty baby, just like you.
Toby's mind-reading act convinces Sir Barnaby to call off the wedding, but his disguise is revealed, and Joan's vamp act does not impress Hilary, so Joan and Toby leave to return to England with all of our romantic relationships still in confusion. Act 3 takes place in the Mopham Mansion, which has been converted to a bright nightclub. Lady Sophia has been made over from a frumpy battle axe to a modern lady by Pinky, and the two have become pals. A costume ball is in progress, and Pinky sings about how it was her idea to turn Lady Sophia's house into a nightclub.
I don't want a place in the sun or the afternoon light. Anywhere in moonlight I would rather be. You will miss the best of the fun if you miss the night time. It's the only bright time you will ever see. Other people say the only time for making hay is when the sun is shining, but they don't know me. 'Cause I make hay when the moon shines, when that big silver balloon shines. Oh, anybody else can have the daytime. The nighttime is the only proper playtime. For that's the time when the fun shines, when things begin to be bright. So though I'm good when the sun shines, I'm anything but good at night. Though some people live for the day, it's a dull and flat time, so I sleep through that time till the moon is near. Night's the time for us to be gay. We are free from care then, for there's no one there then who will interfere. And no matter where the sun is shining, I don't care. But when the younger sons are dining, I appear. And I make hay when the sun shines, when that big silver balloon shines.
Meanwhile, Lady Sophia's new look and behavior are now scandalizing her son, Toby.
A nightclub at home. A mother who looks like a movie star. Oh, I must write her Gloria Swan song. Lots of people's mothers are silver-haired and sweet, but frankly there are others, and mine you ought to meet. You'll never see her knitting, she has no silver hair. You'll never find her sitting beside my vacant chair. I stay at home, but mother's never there. That newfangled mother of mine, that glass-spangled mother of mine. While others sit at home in Ireland and Tennessee, I'm more inclined to roam. She's more at home with Hennessy, and thanks to that mother of mine. From nightclubs I have to resign, 'cause I hate to have to answer that the exhibition dancer is that newfangled mother of mine. First she took to henna, of that I wasn't fond, but then contracted then a severe attack of blonde. And how I blushed and tingled when first her hair was bobbed. But when she came home shingled, of joy my day was robbed. I crumpled up and absolutely sobbed. That newfangled mother of mine, that star-spangled mother of mine. You don't know what she's like. She's one among a million. Upon my motorbike she occupies the pillion. And thanks to that mother of mine, all fancy dress balls I decline, since I found that the bacchante in the costume rather scanty was that newfangled mother of mine. Gone is my affection, I have to turn away from her schoolgirl complexion, which changes twice a day. The midnight oil she's burning, she's never home till 3. At dances she keeps learning some fancy step, and she comes home at dawn and practices on me. That newfangled mother of mine, that foot-tangled mother of mine. Her partners all lose heart as around she keeps unwilling 'em, and now she wants to start a polo team at Hurlingham. And thanks to that mother of mine, we're stared at wherever we dine, 'cause the queen of the assembly riding broncos out at Wembley was that newfangled mother of mine.
Next, a very well-dressed Hilary Vane makes a grand entrance into the party.
If a man can love and a man can laugh, then a man is a man indeed. Is a man indeed. There are lips to kiss, there are cups to quaff. Is there more that a man can need? Is there more a man can take? Your pleasures while you make hers. You must do as Brummel does today. Never, never stop to think. Lift your glass and drink. It is Brummel who'll show the way. If a man can love and a man can laugh, then a man is a man indeed. He's a man there indeed. There are lips to kiss, there are cups to quaff. Is there more than a man can need? Is there more a man to take your pleasures while you may, sirs. You must do as Brummel does today.
Never, never stop to think. Lift your glass and a drink.
It is Brummel who will show the way.
So, Lady Sophia, enamored with Pinky's talents as a beautician and businesswoman, convinces Toby to marry her after all. We learn that Freddie has married May earlier in the day, and Joan arrives at the ball dressed as Miss Primrose and reconciles with Hillary. After just a little more chaos involving the police, Sir Barnaby finally relents and blesses all the marriages, and the party continues into the night. Before we sing our finale, I just want to thank Trinity for having us here. Thank you, Melissa Baker. Thanks to Larry Moore for his help putting this together. And we'll be back next week at 1 o'clock on Thursday. We're going to be doing songs from the 1907 Broadway version of The Merry Widow. So here we go. Here's the finale.
I make hay when the sun shines, when that big silver balloon shines. But anybody else can have the daytime. The nighttime is the only proper playtime.